Okay, I think we're going to go ahead. Just a big welcome to all the students for joining us today. Really appreciate your time. We're excited to be here and chat about TAHFM and tell you what the organization is all about today. I will hand it over to Adrian, who will introduce himself. I'm sure a lot of you know Adrian already, but Adrian, I'll leave it up to you to say hi to everybody.
Thank you, Renee. So hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today on the Employer Spotlight. So obviously, you can see TAHFM is the Texas Association of Healthcare Facilities Management. I want to also, thank them for spending some time with us today to kind of give us a little bit of a input on what they are, what they're all about, what they do, who they are associated with through the state of Texas. I did in the invitation give a little bit of information regarding who they are, but this is a great opportunity for many students that are from TSTC. I think this is a great opportunity for students to possibly get into the facilities part of healthcare, and just being able to see what opportunities are out there. But yeah, if you want to, we are going to hold off on questions, I believe, until the end of the presentation. So if you can just kind of stand by, maybe jot down your questions throughout the presentation, and then at the end we'll open it up for some questions. Also, make sure that you have your phone or your audio muted for the entirety of the presentation, so that way there's not any interruptions or anything. But again, thank you guys for joining us, and we can go ahead and start.
Perfect. Thanks, Adrian. Appreciate it. Yeah, just a reminder to please mute yourself throughout the presentation. If you do have a question, there is the chat box. Please feel free to use that. We'd be happy to answer any questions at the end, and we'll direct them to to the speakers and get those the questions answered for you. I'd like to introduce our wonderful president of TAHFM, John Wilson, who will be speaking to you a little bit about what we're about and the organization. So John, over to you.
Well, thank you. I'm not so sure about wonderful, but I appreciate those kind words. So I'm currently the Director of Planning, Design, and Construction for Parkland Hospital. And I'd like to introduce you to TAHFM as an organization. We're a premier healthcare facilities management association in Texas, providing collaborative partnership comprised of diverse professionals who are dedicated to the continuous improvement and advancement of its membership and healthcare. Now, TAHFM is a state organization, and our parent company is called American Society of Healthcare Engineering. And their parent company is called the American Hospital Association. So you've probably heard of that organization before you've heard of us. So I always like to think of Texas as the favorite grandchildren of the American Hospital Association. Now, to assist, our mission is to assist our membership in professional development through support, education, and collaboration. Our vision, TAHFM has been helping professionals in the healthcare field since 1958. The organization represents the following functional areas: facilities management, energy management, healthcare construction, support services, building maintenance, environmental infection control, safety, plant engineering, healthcare design, security, clinical and biomedical engineering, technical management, and technical management. Now, we have listed environmental services. However, we've not represented that group in quite some time. Now, whether you are directly involved or simply interested in these functional areas, TAHFM membership gives you advantages that will help you reach new levels of success. And I think the two things that we do the best is that we provide continuing education for career growth and also for leadership development for our members. And the second thing that we do is provide networking opportunities for our members to share important information between healthcare organizations. Now, course, with COVID, a lot of our networking opportunities have turned into virtual, like this one. But we are certainly glad to be able to provide that type of education as well. Please visit our website as we post our events on the calendar throughout the year. Our website also contains further information on resources and offerings, including scholarship opportunities for our members and a career center. I believe we'll show that at the end of the session. So please, there's a lot of opportunities that you can have on that particular website. Let's see. Our website also contains further information on resources and offerings, including scholarships, opportunities, and our members for the Career Center. Here, you are able to upload your resume as well as view job openings within Texas. So feel free to reach out to us at any time if you have any questions. I'd like to now introduce you to Taylor Vaughn. Taylor will tell us a little bit about her journey into facilities management as well as her current position. Taylor is a recipient of the TAHFM Future Leader Award for 2020 and is an offsite and real estate facility manager for Children's Health. Welcome, Taylor.
Good afternoon, everyone. So first I want to tell you a little bit about how I got into facilities management. It's a pretty common saying in our industry that facilities management and healthcare is an accidental career, and I'm definitely proof of that. Once I graduated college, I was actually planning on going to law school, and I was just applying, and I was actually working at an Office Depot. And a gentleman came in, and I had helped him a couple times with different projects he was working on, and he just happened to mention, hey, I have an opening in my department at Children's Health engineering for the administrative assistant. Do you want to apply? And so I did, just figuring I could work there and then maybe go to law school later in my life. But once I got here, I kind of realized that this is what I wanted to do, and just really fell in love with the industry. It's really rewarding knowing that the work that you do in healthcare facilities management is to help patients feel more comfortable and heal faster. You're not just trying to, make money for someone. The work that you're doing is actually helping people. And so, once I got in that position, I just started reading and learning everything I could get my hands on. And I really moved up in my career on the codes and standards part of it. Healthcare facilities management is extremely regulated, especially by the federal government. And there's tons of laws and codes that we have to follow. So I kind of became that person that knew all of those and knew what was up and coming and spread that around to my department. So we were always in compliance. So just learning those really helped propel my career. I eventually moved up to, they actually created a position for me called the compliance specialist. So again, I was just the go-to person in my department for everything compliance related. And then now I've become the facility manager over the offsite locations. So Children's has about 25 smaller clinics around the Dallas area that we have to maintain. So my team does that. And then if we'll go to the next slide, we can see, I believe, our organization chart. So you can see here that Children's, which is in Dallas, we have a pretty wide range of different positions. We have plant operators, maintenance mechanics, painters, electricians, plumbers. We have people who buy all of our parts. And then obviously we have supervisors, managers, a landscape crew, and then we have our infrastructure team. So I would tell you, if you're trying to get into facilities management, don't just pick one and say, I only want to be a plant operator. We have people that come in as maintenance mechanics or just anything, and they're constantly moving around, moving up. And you can really get a well-rounded career working in a hospital. There's so many different things to learn, and it is literally never a dull day. We actually deal with fires and floods. So, look at these positions and I mean, obviously you can strive to be something, but just get your foot in anywhere and you can really move up and do well. And we do actually have a few open positions right now. So right now we have 2 maintenance mechanic positions and 1 plant operator position. So if you'll go to that link right there, you can apply for those. And again, those are in our Dallas campus. And that's all from me. Back to John.
Well, thank you, Taylor. So our next speaker is Jacob McCall. Jacob is a TAHFM board member and the Director of Engineering Services for Memorial Hermann Sugarland. Thanks, Jacob.
Thanks, John. Hello, everyone. John said I'm the Director of Engineering at Memorial Hermann Sugarland. And kind of what Taylor alluded to, I got started in healthcare. Straight out of college, I started with Memorial Hermann as a maintenance mechanic, and then worked my way to a team leader position and then a manager position, and now I'm at a director position at a different hospital. But I just want to talk a little bit about the different opportunities in healthcare. Really, to make it easy, healthcare needs a little bit of everything. If you could think of a job, we'll need it at some point. It covers anything from welders to plumbers, electricians, people that work on internal combustion engines, HVAC, mechanical, design. So that's just a little bit. If we can go to the next slide. So here, this was the job openings this morning with Memorial Hermann. And as you can see, we have, there's a team leader position, so that's as a maintenance mechanic role. He's over the maintenance mechanics. There's supply chain, more maintenance mechanics, biomed. They're the ones that touch any equipment or tools that touch patients. Some digital stuff, IT stuff, clinical support, security office, and then criminal law enforcement. But so these are all jobs that if you go to Memorial Hermann's website, careers, and type in engineering, these are the ones that come up. If you're looking for more IT, I'm sure there's several more of those out there also. And my thing is what I spoke about, how our job is very wide based. Those maintenance mechanic positions, team leaders, those are great opportunities because they touch a little bit of everything themselves. They'll do a little bit of electrical, a little bit of plumbing. They're not necessarily licensed. Some hospitals do hire licensed ones, but they're expected to be able to do a little bit of everything on a daily basis. And again, like Taylor said, it never stops. It's always something. This morning I was in a meeting and I get a call because half of our SPD, where they clean the surgical equipment, is completely out of power. And so those are just the kind of fun, exciting, but also stressful opportunities that you get to face working in healthcare. And so this is how Memorial Hermann does it. I was going to mention some hospitals do hire in-house electricians, licensed plumbers, and things like that. I think our medical center campus does, but our community hospitals kind of stay away from that part. But I think that's about it for me. I was going to turn it back over to John.
Thank you, Jacob. Yeah, it's really interesting, this profession. There's so many different paths to get into healthcare, facilities management, and there are so many opportunities within different organizations. So I think it's an excellent field, and if you want to be frontline essential worker, it's certainly a good profession to be in. So our next speaker is Gregory David. Gregory is TAHFM regional representative and the Director of Engineering for Scottish Rite for Children's Orthopedic Hospital. Take it away, Gregory.
Well, hello, everyone. And again, welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your day.
I can use Gregory also if y'all want.
What's that?
Gregory's ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. Can you hear me? Okay, good. All right.
Okay.
Well, hello.
Gregory, he's a regional representative for TAHFM, Director of Engineering at Scottish Rite for Children's Orthopedic Hospital.
All right. So I am Gregory David, who you've heard so much about now. I'm the Director of Engineering at Texas Scottish Rite Hospital for Children, recently renamed Scottish Rite for Children Orthopedic Hospital in Dallas, Texas. Many of the other speakers have talked about their circuitous route by which they ended up in healthcare, and that is absolutely true. And let me tell you a little about my background, and there's a point to all of these stories. So I may have the most unusual. I began my professional life in the United States Navy operating nuclear reactors aboard combat vessels. And then from there, I got out and I got into construction. Eventually, I ended up in a commercial heating and air conditioning. Later, I completed an engineering degree, nuclear engineering. So you might wonder, how do I end up working as a director of engineering in healthcare? Well, the truth is that it takes an awful lot of disciplines, and most people don't realize this. Before the opportunity to work in this hospital came to me, I did not realize the vast array of mechanical, electrical, controls, pneumatics, all of the infrastructure that's required so that the doctors can do all the magic that they do. Now, when you work in engineering facilities, you work in the engineering departments at a hospital, at a healthcare facility, you're doing many of the same kind of things you might do in a factory, working for GM or building, widgets or whatever it might be. But the end product is very different, and here's why. Prior to coming here, I worked in factories, I worked at Dell and data centers. But when I came here, I got the opportunity to apply all those various skill sets, that understanding of mechanical, electrical theory and practice. And I got to apply it so that children got their life back. They got their childhood back. When the children come in here, they come in broken, and then they leave fully functional children, able to go and have long and productive lives. That's what the doctors do. We're in the background giving those doctors what they need so that they can make those miracles happen. Now it is, as Taylor mentioned, there is a ton of government regulations. There's a ton of state regulations. And then there's a ton of ethical practices and procedures. When you're doing this job here, the standard is much higher. Even though the work may be similar, the standard is much, much higher, because at the end of the day, if you get something wrong at GM, maybe they build a Suburban wrong. If you get something wrong here, a child's life may be in stake. And so you have to understand that because of that high stress, that high cost for doing something wrong, we seek across all industries to find those people with the skills and the integrity that they can come up to that standard, that they will show up every day ready to do their absolute best, being completely open and honest and transparent about what they know and what they don't know. And then we also provide those people, when they come in and they're the right kind of person, they have those kind of characteristics, we provide those people all kinds of opportunities to advance and to grow, because the people who can hack it in healthcare are so small in number that when we find you, we want to hang on to you. We want to make you a member of the family. Now, what you have on the screen in front of you is from Texas Scottish Rite Hospital, and this is our grouping grade. What you're looking at is the career paths for those that work underneath me. This is I have the grounds department as well as all the maintenance trades work for me, and that's common in most hospitals. But what I want you to see when you look at this is it's not a list of postings. I currently filled my last posting, but there's hope even in that. But this is how you start from almost anywhere. You come in with pretty much a strong back and a willing heart and some mechanical aptitude, let alone some training. And if you want to make something of yourself, you can walk up this path. For instance, if you're looking here in our phase 1, general maintenance mechanic, that could be somebody from just had their TSTC license or certification or degree, on up, to somebody who maybe is just working in it, just getting started, but really has demonstrated a proficiency, especially if you came from some kind of mechanical trade in the background. We bring you in and we throw you in. And like Jacob mentioned, one day you might be changing out ballast. And then the next day you might be trying to troubleshoot the robotic arms of a pneumatic tube delivery system for blood draw. The next day, you might be crawling all over the place trying to find the right pneumatic or electric controls for the BAS system so that you can get a particular air handler back online so that they can perform surgeries. It never gets dull. And if things go wrong, if somebody hits a light pole, something goes wrong with the power, something goes out, if there's an emergency, in all of these hospitals, you're the first responder. While everybody else is looking for cover and going the other direction, you run into the mix. You run in with the fire extinguishers, you're running in with your tools, you're running in to take chaos, tame it, and turn it into a useful order that the doctors can use to finish delivering the outcomes that they're here to do, those highly trained professionals. Now, you'll never get glory because our job is to be in the background. If we're doing our job correctly, then nobody really even knows that we're here, or very few people do. They know that you're here when something doesn't work, when it's breaking. That's when they notice that you're around. But let's say you are that general maintenance mechanic and you're in class right now, you're in your last semester or whatever at Texas State Technical College, and there's a general maintenance position open, and you think, well, it's just general. Why would I take that? That's entry level. Maybe I'm above that. Well, let me tell you what that might do for you, though. You come in as that general maintenance and you prove yourself. And in 6-8 months, when one of those positions in phase 2 opens up, Jacob or Taylor or myself, we're going to be looking for that person within the organization that we know because they've demonstrated their character, that we can promote, we can bring them up into that. We're going to be preparing you to take that next position by sending you to follow-on schools, sending you to the manufacturer schools, to OEM schools. We're going to push you even to get your associates, your bachelors. We are always trying to work ourselves out of a job. So in my organization, if one of those positions comes open, for the journeyman maintenance mechanic, well, if you've just finished your TSTC or you've got your certification, let's say as a Class A mechanical contractor or something like that, if you've got that background plus you've proven yourself, you can slip right into that journeyman maintenance position. We send you off all the ASHE schools to get your CHFM and the like, and you can slide up and get some project management. And when the position becomes open to be a master maintenance mechanic, you can slide into that. Or maybe you came in as a general maintenance, but you said, you know what, I really would like to be in HVAC. I'd like to work in air conditioning, or I'd like to be a plumber. We will get you your apprentice card for plumbing. We'll let you work with our master plumber. We have a master plumber, we have a master electrician, we have a journeyman electrician on staff, and that's in my little 23-man department. Jacob's got tons of them, I'm sure. But you'll be working under them, and you'll go through your time, you'll get all your sign-offs, we'll send you to whatever follow-on schools so that you, in 5 years, will be ready to sit for your journeyman plumber or your journeyman electrician. You'll be ready to sit for your HVAC licensure with the state of Texas. And we will always promote and push you up, and then try to fill in the person that comes behind you. We like nothing better than to take somebody new to the industry and to bring them up right and bring them up with the habits and the sensibilities that we like. You see there, for instance, we even have that for our grounds crew. And I'll show you in the next slide that we always look to promote from within whenever we have a position there, you see, within our organization. Now we've got grounds and we've got engineering. But here on this chart, what I'm showing you is even though currently all my positions are filled, everything that's got a mark on it is something that has shifted recently. All the ones that have the blue circle around them, those are people in the last month to a year to 18 months have promoted. Some of them are newer to the organization. Some of them, like Igor Topic up there, who just became my #2 guy, have been here 20 years, but he came in as a wrench turner, changing ballasts and changing, filters. And now he's the #2 guy in the department. And if he would finish his engineering degree, he could take my place. And we would fully support that. Those that have a red around them are somebody who was hired recently hired into the organization within the last year to 18 months. So you can see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions in our 23-man crew here that we have hired within the last year to 18 months. Those are positions that became open. Some of them come open not because they even leave my department, but because they come skilled in something and they they get poached by another department. I had a guy that came in as a general maintenance mechanic, and at the time we still handled the telephone system, so we sent him to telephone schools. And then when we went to voice over IP, our IT department picked him up, and he's now the voice over IP IT engineer over in our IT department. So there's a lot of motion within the organization to come up. There's a lot of upward mobility. There's a lot of room for those with ambition and ability and a work ethic to become whatever it is you wish to become. Every one of these, and you'll see there's at least 3 here that have stars. Those are people that recruited internally. Now, earlier, I know that John Wilson mentioned that we currently as TAHFM don't represent ES because ES has grown to be so specialized within healthcare that they have their own special organization. But Dwight Nimmons, the journeyman maintenance mechanic on the bottom left, that gentleman came to me from ES. He'd been working in ES almost 15 years, but he had the right integrity, and we knew the kind of person he was, and we brought him in, and he's already progressed up in the industry. All the way on the far right, you see that general maintenance mechanic, Ron Simmons. He also came to us from ES. So we recruited him in, strong back, willing heart, good mechanical aptitude, and the right personality. That's what we're looking for. And then we can build that person to be whatever they want to rise to be. Whereas Gregorio Melendez, the general maintenance mechanic, he was one of those grounds workers on the left-hand side, one that's currently a vacancy. That was Gregorio Melendez's position. And so it's not just can you get in at the highest level. It's not even can you get in. Just get your foot in the door. Show yourself. And we are always looking for the good people to raise them to be good for the organization. The higher you rise, the better it is for the organization as a whole, the more value that you bring. Now, the orange stars that you see there, I wanted to point those out in particular. I first became aware of TSTC's programs, probably 3 years ago, through somebody that was on staff there. Since then, I promoted. I'm always pushing my guys to go into that organization and to get their follow-on certification so that I can promote them up to the next level. Robert Overstreet, bottom right-hand side, he was a general maintenance mechanic, and he just finished his TSTC 2-year associate's degree. And when he finished that, we promoted him up into journeyman HVAC. He had a background in HVAC before this, and we've been using him internally. And once he got that, I could promote him up. And right now, we are paying for him to go through the prep courses so that he can get his Class B state license as an HVAC contractor. Over on the left, you see Dwight Nimmons again, who came to us again from the environmental services, from the janitorial service. He's come in and he's promoted up. Dwight is, I think, in his last semester now at TSTC here in Red Oak. So he's been working for the last 2 years to get his education done as well. And it's because of his education, how far he's come with those courses, that we were able to get him from general up to journeyman within that position. So here's what I want to leave you with. Nobody starts in the trades really saying, I'm going to go get in a trade so I can be working in the engineering department of a hospital, because it's like the best kept secret that this even exists, that it's out there. But it is. We're here to let you in on that secret and for you to pass it around. Our biggest problem right now as managers within these facilities is finding the quality people with the background to fill it. So maybe you're studying and you're doing your associates in robotics, or you're doing associates in air conditioning, you're doing associates in what they used to call industrial maintenance. They got a different name for it now at TSTC. And you think, well, how would that apply? Don't cut yourself short. If you're in anything that's a mechanical, electrical trade, reach out to this organization and start talking to the hiring managers. You might be surprised what doors it will open. You might find a home, you might find a launching pad, but when you tap into TAHFM, you're not tapping into an employer, you're tapping into an industry of employers. And that reaches out through ASHE to the rest of the country. So if you eventually want to be, a director of engineering working a hospital in New York, it could start right here. And John Wilson actually works with Michael Wood, who came out of the Navy, came in as a wrench turner in a hospital in California, and now runs all of the engineering department and facilities at Parkland, which is the largest hospital here in the Dallas Metroplex. So this is an opportunity. Knock on the door and it will open. And with that, I turn it back over to you, John.
Gregory, that was great. That was very inspirational too. And it reminds me of the very first hospital that I worked for was Hendrick Medical Center in Abilene, Texas. When I left there, there was one individual, Zane Dennis, who was an electrical technician, and now he runs that department. He is the director of engineering for that hospital. So that is not an uncommon story, and we appreciate your insight into that. So thanks to all of our speakers. Now it's question and answer time. And so, Renee, how are we going to handle that?
Great. If anybody has any questions, please put them in the chat box and we'll be happy to answer that for you. I'm looking to see if there's any questions that anybody has. Adrian, have you heard of anybody asking questions on your side?
People out there, somebody's got to have a question.
So the only one that has, as of right now, as a biomed position open is Jacob McCall. So you're the only one that has the biomed position open in Houston?
Jacob, can you
So
hear us?
at Children's, biomed actually doesn't fall under engineering. They're separate. So there may be some positions open. If you go to that link, job search at Children's, you can see all the open positions. So there may be some.
But yeah, I know Jason does have one. So he's got one there. I don't know if he might have been called away, but he has one posted right now. And it's down in Sugar Land, so it's in beautiful Houston, Texas.
I know one question that was asked to me before we actually did the spotlight was as far as like the different hospitals. So you guys have representation in majority of the hospitals throughout the state of Texas, correct? Like, is there any specific areas that y'all have more representation? Is it more like in the Houston area or in the Dallas or maybe down in El Paso, things like that? Just wherever you feel like y'all have more representation.
So that is usually a competition between two regions, our Dallas-Fort Worth and Houston. And so we've got a lot of, and it goes back and forth. Sometimes the Houston area will have more members, and sometimes the DFW will have more members. But it's a nice, healthy competition. You know, just because of the size of the state, it's difficult sometimes to get to some of the folks like in far West Texas and some of the East Texas areas. But you know, those seem to be the centers of our membership as far as the numbers.
I see that there's another question that came up too. Oh, and Adrian, on that, John, Renee, how many hospitals are represented currently by TAHFM?
Good question. I can get that information for you. The last I checked, about 162. Double checking.
Yeah,
Right.
I believe there are over 500 hospitals in Texas. But
and we've got obviously all over the Dallas-Fort Worth area, all over Houston, all over Austin, out in El Paso, down in the Valley. So if you want to go anywhere in Texas, I'm sure there's a job opening wherever it is you'd like to go. If you want to get to someplace or away from someplace, we can help you. Now, there's a message that I just saw come up, and the question was, where do we get sent for the extended certification? Well, first, let me tell you, there's an awful lot of them. So it depends on what the certification is, but let me at least reach out with this. For example, let's say that I've got a gentleman right now. He was one of the ones that I discussed that we brought in from environmental services and grew into a maintenance mechanic. And we're going to send him for follow-on certification in our industrial laundry, because we take care of the PMs and the repairs on all the big laundry machines here in the hospital. And that's Pellerin is the company that gives that, and they do that in Louisiana. So we're going to be, he was actually scheduled for this before COVID. We're going to schedule after it, but we're sending him to that school for like 2 weeks, and he's going to come back certified in that. So there's a lot of OEM certifications for specific types of systems. Maybe you're going to go get trained in Honeywell and we're going to send you to Pennsylvania. If you're going to get trained in Johnson Control, their big training center, I think for the country, is right here in Dallas, Texas. Some of it we do remotely or it's self-study, and we provide so that you can take any of those little classes and get all the books and do all your training. And then we provide for you to sit at the testing center to go take the test. So for instance, let's say you're far enough up that you're ready to sit for your certified health facility manager exam, something I just finished a couple years ago. And that's a killer of a test. But we might send you to the TAHFM or the ASHE conferences. You know, they had one in Seattle, they had them in Orlando, they have them all over the country. I think they had one in Chicago recently. We'll send you up there. You can get a lot of your education there. We'll hook you up with educational opportunities through several venues. And then when you've got everything signed off and you're ready and you're all prepped up, then we will pay the fees for you to go to the local testing center they contract with and to go and sit for that exam. The same is true for if you want to get your journeyman plumber, if you want to get your master plumber, if you want to get all of those. There's different ways that you have to go about getting those, and we facilitate those things for the people that show the promise to fill a need that we have. Does that kind of answer that question?
I believe there is another question in the chat box. It says, how has COVID-19 changed the dynamics of hiring? Anyone?
I can speak to my hospital initially because we went to like 0 hospital capacity. But like many other hospitals, our hospital has a large endowment. We're a charity hospital. So with that couple of $1 billion in the bank, the first thing I want you to, and I didn't get to speak to this earlier, if you want a stable career with very little risk of being outsourced, this is the place to go. My hospital, even though we had no patients and 90% of the staff had nothing to do on site and they had them go home and just stay home for like 2 months, they paid them full salaries while they did it. So they wanted to hang on to that staff because they knew COVID was going to be temporary. When they came back, it's cheaper for us to bring back those people than for them to drift off someplace else. And many hospitals were able to do that. So healthcare is uniquely positioned to be resilient to downturns in the economy. So let's just say that during that period of time, we did not hire at all. They froze hiring. Now that we've come out the other side and we're back up to 80–90% of our capacity, hiring is back open again. One thing that's changed is that a lot more of the process is doing through virtual meetings like this, instead of coming and physically sitting down at a table across from us to do the interviews.
Yeah, and that's been the same case at Children's. Similar to Scottish Rite, we have a lot of our money comes from donations. We did freeze hiring for a while, but now we're pretty much back to normal. And hiring is actually probably increased as we realize as COVID patients come in, we actually have more work. And we're continuing construction as usual. So it's actually picked up a little bit for us.
Yeah, I would just continue with what they're saying. For a little while, we froze hiring, froze all the positions, but getting closer to normal now. More positions are getting approved and posted. And then I saw someone ask, what could we do to increase our chances of being hired or secure an interview? I think I would just apply, throw your name in there. Maybe follow up with an email or shoot one of us an email. If it's someone we know, we can reach out.
Yeah, and mention that you come from TSTC.
Yeah, and then that last comment of asking if there's any jobs close to College Station. I know there's 1 or 2 CHI hospitals in College Station, a Baylor Scott and White, St. Joseph's, I think. So my cousin actually just left a job there in College Station for Humble. So I think they experience just about as much movement as we do in the hospitals.
So my question would be, what would a student do is, so let's say, for example, if they are interested in working in the healthcare facility, but they're just not sure where to go as far as like, well, I know I want to work in the healthcare facility, but I'm not sure which hospitals or where's my best opportunity going to be at. Is there kind of like any recommendations on what they would do for that? So if they're ready to go, they're about to graduate maybe in December, and they know they do kind of want to follow in the footsteps of doing in the healthcare facilities, where would be the best recommendation for them to kind of shoot for?
If I had any open positions, I'd say apply to me first. But
Yeah.
I know TAHFM has a career center on their website that kind of has jobs from all over the state. So that would be a good place to start.
And hospitals usually have very good career centers that have job postings that you could go to. And you can just type in a word, facilities or something like that, and it'll bring up all of the facility related positions.
oh, and a follow on to Mr. Cuevas, Cuevas. He was asking about biomed. Another interesting aspect of healthcare, one of the changes in it, some departments still have the biomed engineer as part of the engineering department. A lot of us outsource it to a third party because of the risk associated with it. For example, we use Philips Biomed. So there's a Philips Biomed group or technician or two. They specifically work here. They answer to me as if they belonged to my team, even though they're subcontracted from Philips. So Philips Biomed, Modern Biomed, I would go to them to apply as well if you're looking, and you'll end up in the same place, still working for the same people with a lot of the same opportunities.
Okay, yeah. Question is, like, we're on our last semester, and our next semester is our internship. So we need to start looking already, like either where we're gonna go, or like we want here, or what's the next step, you know?
If you send to me your resume, I'll pass it on to Philips and see if they would give you a call.
All righty. Okay. But then where is that located?
Well, they're all over the country. So
Okay. Okay, so it'll be anywhere. Okay.
you want to chase your dream, you may have to change your zip code.
Yes.
So I see the career center website for TAHFM is up on the screen now. So if many students want to write that down, or maybe take a snapshot of it, that's a good website to be able to go on to. And so now this website it'll have, so any positions that any of the hospitals that are associated with TAHFM, do they all post on this career center website as well, or is it kind of hit and miss?
Not everybody posts, Adrian, but there are a lot of jobs that do get posted there. There's an opportunity for students to join TAHFM as a student member as well. What happens when you join an association, a professional association, is the networking opportunities. We have over, 1,100 members. TAHFM does represent almost 20% of the facilities, hospitals within Texas. So joining a professional association allows you to just get your foot in, get to know people. When we start doing events again in the new year, and hopefully we're able to meet in person again, you come to those regional events that we have, you get educated, you get, awareness of ASHE, which has wonderful resources and training as well. So I think if anybody has questions on joining TAHFM or questions about the membership or anybody that's involved, please reach out to us. We're here to help. But navigating your way through the TAHFM website is also great to get to know what we're offering as well.
Yeah, Renee, that's a great point. If you're just starting out and you're not exactly sure what you'd like to do, TAHFM, an organization like this, is a really good opportunity to meet with other folks and network and help understand the profession and what the opportunities would be.
if you do get to meet somebody that's been a TAHFM member for a while, you know, they could mentor, they could help answer any questions. You know, Taylor, John, and Jacob and Gregory have been wonderful in giving information and happy to help with further questions as well. So it's always good to meet and network and get to know other people that are in the industry as well. So TAHFM is a good place to start.
Are there any healthcare facilities that offer like internships to students that are about to finish up their degrees?
Memorial Hermann's hired interns in the past for facilities. We currently are not hiring any right now, but that's something that I want us to start doing again. So unfortunately not this semester, but possibly next semester or next summer.
Yeah, we do summer interns as well.
Yeah, same with Parkland.
And so probably the best way to to do that is just to kind of keep in touch and see, get your information to kind of periodically find out if there's any opportunities for internships that are coming up for our students.
Yeah, there's value in making a nuisance of yourself.
Great. I'm looking to see if there's any other questions that we have. And I don't see any more, but wanted to say thank you to all the students, Adrian, to yourself as well for helping the students and us put this on. It's been wonderful. And oh, there's another question that came in. Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. I'll hand it back to John to kind of close us off, but appreciate everybody's time today. And we hope we hear from you more often and sooner rather than later.
Yeah, well, thank you, Renee, for helping us get through this and all the great speakers. I learned something as well. You know, I didn't realize we had a nuclear physicist in our organization, but that's awesome. It's always good to have. But again, this is a profession that is really worthwhile, and as Gregory and Taylor and Jacob mentioned, it is very rewarding. It's when you're doing something that you know, excuse me, that you know is helping people get well. It can't get better. Excuse me, it can't get any better than that. So again, we appreciate y'all's time and appreciate our opportunity to present, and certainly look forward to you joining TAHFM at some time. So again, thanks to everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
All
Have a
right.
great week.
Thank you, everyone. That was great. And I really appreciate you guys for taking your time to be able to present to us. And it was great information for our students. And I really, I think this can really lead to some good opportunities for them.
Thank you, Adrian.
Thank you, Adrian. Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.